Hey everyone, it's your girl, Rosette McLean Chapman, aka Artistic Soul, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you my experience with Art Resin. I've heard so much about their resin from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I definitely am excited to try it out. What I do like about it is that the measurements are equal parts resin and equal parts epoxy, which I feel like it's less likely, right, for me to mess this up. The first time I did my resin with a Viotex Light, it was sticky, and that was on my behalf. And so now I'm learning to really reread the directions to get the best results possible. The smell is not bad at all. I enjoy that. My space is not super huge in the living room, and so it's very important that we try to get that air to filter and it not be so strong for my nose and everybody else. So here's the piece, one of the pieces that I already did the resin for. I'll show you the back of it. You can see, work out. Okay. But right there, I just missed, I didn't put resin over there. And over here, I didn't put resin over here. So it's like a little corner there. It doesn't have resin. Heart. And so I fixed this problem, whereas before, around the heart, the edge of the heart, there are not any pieces missing, and it goes all the way around. It's not cracked or anything. See that? Art Resin. I really wanted to take my time to make sure I mix the resin properly to avoid bubbles, but also to avoid the resin being sticky. So like I said, this is equal parts epoxy and resin or hardener. And I believe I went with 2 ounces for each. I love these cups because these cups have the measurements on the cup, so then I'm not trying to guess. And I like that it's see-through because I can make sure that they're equal parts. So with this resin, there is no particular way that you, like if I have to put the hardener first and then the other one, or vice versa. I pour either the epoxy in first and then add the other item, and so together that came up to 4 ounces. Real simple. So now I wanted to make sure that they were equal parts. So there's another part that I didn't record I didn't add it in this video, was where I have to add the other component. Like I'm looking at it like really close to confirm that it's even. The measurements, because when it's not, it creates issues and havoc to your creation, and so sometimes all your hard work may not be salvageable. So I wanted to take my time, right? I didn't want to rush this process. What I had noticed was that what was left over in the containers didn't seem to be the same amount, and I was cautious as to whether I needed to pour more in of the amount that had more of the liquid or in it. But I left it alone, which I'm glad I did, because the resin came out fine. And so I decided to use a scale, which I kind of don't know how to use. My husband knows how to use it. just meaning I turn it on, and to get the measurement of how much liquid is in this container. And it just keeps switching, maybe because it's sticky, because my hands are sticky, and you're picking it up off the scale and putting it on the scale. And I'm supposed to press it so that it starts at 0, and that's a part of the process. But it's fine. I end up not using the scale and kind of really just relying on the numbers that are left on the measuring cup. So I want to make sure I mix for the amount of time that the box said. I'm scraping the bottom, I'm scraping the sides, and I have my timer on, and that's where things get sticky because I have my phone on to the side with the timer on it, and I'm touching my phone, and then I make sure I wipe everything down with the alcohol wipes to make sure everything's not sticky, because you want to make sure that doesn't get on your face and on your skin. And there has been some oopsies where I've gotten resin on my skin, but I immediately wash it off, wipe it off, and then use the alcohol wipes to wipe wherever the resin got on. Now, these particular circular pieces I created, so these are just some of these are just trials. If they come out great, that's awesome. If not, then just send it over. And so I like the rocks idea, so I put the rocks at the bottom, but then some of the rocks were not covered completely by the resin, and so you'll notice here I had to pour over, and it is extremely sticky, right? So that means that either my ratio was off. I'm talking about the first time I did it, that my ratio was off between hardener and resin, or I didn't mix long enough for the proper amount of time, or the temperature in the apartment could have been a little bit fuzzy. So I basically remixed the resin over again, and I'm pouring the resin on top of my piece I created so that it can lose its stickiness. Upon research, I found out this works. The other way, I was trying to use the squeegee board or some sort of piece that I could scrape off the sticky part, but it wasn't gooey where it was running off. So some of the resin cured and some of the resin didn't cure, so that's why I didn't need to scrape it off. And so I tried this method to see if I could deal with the sticky part. And then I wasn't sure, so I just put it back in the mold. And I wasn't sure if that was what I was supposed to be doing. Okay, so guys, don't get nervous. Thank you, Jesus, that I've not burnt anything down ever. That is silicone, and you can use, I call it the candle lighter to light it. I don't know how to use the torch I brought from Art Resin. Like, I try to, I turn it so it can work, and then I press it, but it doesn't, I am not doing it correctly. And so the fire doesn't come out. And that bothers me, and I feel like that's when I'm going to light things on fire, trying to work it out, and because I don't know how to use it yet or consistently. So I just stopped. So this works better for me. I do want to purchase a larger resin mat for like my whole table, right? But other than that, I'm fine. I stay focused. I got my protective eyewear on. What I don't have is any one of the face masks. That would be helpful. But this particular one is not toxic in the smell. It is toxic, but the smell is not horrible. And so my nose is not irritated. And usually I do have a mask due to COVID. It's not as likely that I'll find the mask as I continue to search. I will definitely search again, because the one I want is the one that has the 2 filters on the side, right? So that air can come in and air can come out. The other one that I have is like what is it called? A P95, and I'm not even sure if that's for smells versus dust and things like that. But, it's fine. I have my alcohol inks, and that's from Pinta, I believe, Pinta. I love it. I just brought something called more of the white ink that can help sync the colors, and I love what the white does. So I bought a larger ink, and I just wasn't sure whether I'm supposed to mix the ink inside the resin, or do I only have to put it inside the mold that I'm using. And so I'm just kind of messing around with it. My dream goal is to do like an ocean resin mold because I love it. I love water. You see it in my paintings. I enjoy it so much. And while I am figuring out what colors I want to use, I definitely want to let you know to check out my other YouTube videos. You'll see some more art pieces, painting and things like that I have created. I love landscapes, beachscapes, seascapes, scapes. I love water, and you'll see in some of my pieces, you'll see that present. Also check out my hair videos. If you don't know, you know I have alopecia, and sometimes I want to cover it up. Sometimes I want to shave it off. And so I just take the opportunity to do a little bit of everything, but I am letting my hair grow. But I digress. Now back to our scheduled video. Oh, and I do love these alcohol inks. Oh, also, I made my own alcohol ink using markers, Sharpie markers, and you let it sit in a certain amount of alcohol, like 91%, and then the ink, comes out of the marker and is usable. So I haven't done any art with it yet, but I will, and I will definitely show you because I wanted to see how it looks on canvas. But these colors are amazing. There are some more colors that I didn't purchase that I want to. However, I'm gonna keep myself on a budget because I actually do need more resin. But I'm working on keeping myself on a budget, so that when I get income in, I can, it goes back into the business and then goes back into it for supplies. But you know why I love resin? I just love the colors. I love when the colors blend or don't blend. I love to see when the colors drop to the bottom or what colors drop to the bottom. It's the uncertainty in that makes it so beautiful. And that's why I enjoy it. I've always loved abstract art because you don't know what it may be all the time, but what it may become. Especially it depends on the materials that you're using. And I love this copper. There's that aqua blue in there. And you'll see what it became in the end. But I just love the process. And I definitely want to continue to do my resin pieces until I achieve a certain one that I want to create that has to do with like the shells and the starfish, and I'm actually born in March, March 20th, and they say that sign is indicative to fish and water, like I'm a water sign, but I just love water. That's how God has allowed me to be, and it's relaxing and it's soothing, right? And I will definitely buy some more of the ink and I'll keep you guys posted. Okay, so let me give you the rundown about what happened with this. All right. So when I finished these pieces that I did before, the bottom of it was sticky, right? And so I needed to pour more resin on top. However, I didn't stand it on something. I put it on something flat. So when the resin dried, it dried underneath the piece, right? And I was like, oh crap. And I don't have a sander or anything yet, but that's something I will purchase because that's necessary. I don't have a sander, and so you'll see where the resin poodled up at the bottom or underneath the piece. And so I did as much as I could with my sander, my little hand sander, square item I purchased. And that was the same thing with this one. I left it on top of something flat versus on top of something that had height to it, so that the resin can fall off. And so there you have what that looks like, and so it's uneven around the circumference. But I was able to get a lot of it off with the scissors, but you know, resin is very thick. So I was told that I could use fiberglass or fiberglass cutter to deal with some of the resin. As you see there where it's thick around certain edges. So I'm gonna get the, it's like a nail filer, but for like resin or other materials. And so I'm looking into that. And so this is the one with the rocks. I enjoy that copper gold is just amazing and beautiful. However, you really can't see the rocks at the bottom. So I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do with that. But and it's very thick. It's very, very thick. So, you know, pieces like that, you know, I'll sell for like a few dollars, or just give them away, or just use them as refrigerator magnets. And these are some of the other pieces I did with the resin. So a lot of these pieces were my first time using other molds. I purchased these molds from Michaels, and I'm kind of getting used to mixing the resin and dropping the ink in there. And then I bought a smaller resin mold, and you'll see soon the smaller pieces that I'm taking out of the bag, and they came out pretty awesome to me. However, once the molds have, you know, cured, it is challenging to get those little small pieces out of the smaller molds. So what I learned from watching somebody on their video was to put just a little bit of baby oil inside the mold and kind of move the mold around and move the silicone mold that's inside the mold itself around and get that oil between the mold, and it comes right out. The other way is also to put the mold in the freezer for a little bit, and that'll also help to freeze the mold itself, and then you'll be able to kind of pop it out. So it's my music note. I did a music note, I did some shoes, lipstick. So that's what those are lipsticks. And see, these molds are cake molds, which may be different than a resin mold, because I believe those are a lot thicker sometimes, and some of the resin molds are a little flatter in size. So yeah, so I'm going to take my spring drill that I just brought and, you know, put it in there into the molds so that they can become like a little like bracelet, necklace I mean. But yeah, I wasn't too frustrated at how it came out. You know, I see areas where I can do better. Sometimes I do want to try using the mold release. I do have that because actually one of the shoes that I did, I either filled the mold up too high, right? And then I had to move the mold over, right? So that created spillage. And then when the mold or the silicone dried, it took up some of the mold itself with the thing I created. And so, you know, which they said is possible, but when that happens, I try not to now going forward fill it up towards the top, because that can create some issues. But overall, for my first time, I like it. And I love seashells. Yeah, I love seashells. Got that little thing at Michael's, and just some of the other molds I did. I love the transparency that they can be. And I really want to kind of mess around with seashells and starfish. And all these things I got from Michael's. I didn't see them, these starfishes I would have liked, but I like this. Definitely watch my other videos, comment, subscribe, and like. Thank you.